Hi, welcome to our new show, Tips from the Top. My name is Veronica Sanford. I will be co-hosting with...
Hi, I'm Rick Barron. If you want to shortcut your success to the top, learn from someone who paved the road that others follow. Today's guest achieved unprecedented success in sales, management, and community leadership. In her role as executive director for the Cincinnati Flying Pig Marathon, the pig was honored by FastCompany.com for creating one of the nation's best brands, positioning the pig as one of the events for first-time marathon runners. The race weekend draws over 36,000 participants, helping charities raise over $1 million and helping to boost the economy in Cincinnati by over $12 million a year. She served on boards supporting youth soccer, cystic fibrosis, and cancer research, and even had time to volunteer for fundraising at Xavier University. She now serves as a board member for 2 organizations while continuing to share her leadership skills and experience here in Cincinnati. She's a native Cincinnatian who's built her success on the effective use of relationships with leaders in business and the community. Here to share her tips from the top to shortcut your path to success is Iris Simpson-Bush. Hi, Iris.
Hi, Rick. Veronica.
Welcome.
Thank you. What an auspicious introduction. I'm happy to be here.
We're glad to have you.
Thanks.
Iris, if you would please help us understand the size of the team that it takes to put on an event like the Flying Pig Marathon.
Well, we have grown through the years. We have 5 full-time staff members. We work on the event year-round. We have an additional 6 seasonal they're subcontractors who join us, and they typically come on board in January and work through the May event. We've now introduced an October event, so they're in the office a bit more than they used to be.
So.
Exponentially, we grow for race weekend in leaps and bounds. In addition to the full-time and seasonal members, we have a core of volunteers, 36 team captains with specific areas of responsibility, and under them, it actually filters to almost 6,000 volunteers race weekend.
Wow.
That's a scary number.
That's a
Works.
big team.
Yeah,
that really is a big team.
It's the passion, the commitment from so many people that make it possible. We're a not-for-profit. Without our volunteers, there's no way to make an event like that work.
Yep, yep. Thinking back on your career, you've done a lot, you've seen a lot, you've had a chance to experience quite a bit. What's the one thing from a leadership standpoint that you're the most proud of?
I spent about 30 years in broadcast sales. Absolutely loved it. Best job in the world. For everything I put into it, I felt I got so much in return. So this is my second act. And I would say that for this, I'm very, very proud. Nobody aspires to be a race director. I mean, it's not something that ever entered my field of vision. So to have an opportunity like this come along, to be able to be a part of building something from the ground up. I've been involved since 1997 as a board member and then moved to the staff side. So I would say the pig is one of my personal accomplishments. What it represents to so many individuals, to our charities, and to the community at large makes me feel that it is a huge accomplishment. And it was a risk. It was one of those things that seemed like a good idea, but you know, we had to kind of make our own path. And I just felt very fortunate to be able to be maybe leading that charge.
Congratulations. I've participated the last 3 years. It is an awesome event.
It is so much fun, isn't it? To say, and when I mention individuals, you know, for some it's on their bucket list. It's just something they want to do once, done that, don't have to worry about it anymore. But usually it's infectious and people continue to run, and from that maybe evolve into healthy lifestyles. But the individual accomplishment, I think, people come across that finish line and they're in tears, and admittedly, I sometimes cry with them. I don't know if we're crying tears of joy or tears of pain, but every story is unique, and I think for that I'm very grateful. And then we work with over 200 really amazing causes, and when you hear those stories and why people are running for someone else in memory of them. By the way, I say running, but a lot of our participants walk the event. Mm-hmm. You leave that start, you get to the finish, you're a marathoner. Yep. And so again, the causes, the things that it now does for the community, we hear so many people come. We get participants from all 50 states, last year 17 foreign countries, and the letters and emails we get saying, I never really had a desire to come to Cincinnati, but what a great town, and I'll be back. So I think in addition to the economic impact, it's one of Cincinnati's good news stories.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Iris, do you think that female leaders face different challenges than men do?
I do. We've already acknowledged I've been in business for a long time, so it's much, much, much better than it used to be. When I was first hired in sales, I was the token female. Mind you, I was told I was the token female. I didn't mind being the token female if it got my foot through the door. Right. I would say in the 1990s, about half of our staff became female. I think women have proven that some of those concerns, some of those anticipated limitations weren't there. But to this day, there are often challenges that a female faces that others don't. But I'm going to be very, I hope not controversial, and say sometimes being female helps. Sometimes it gets you in the door. Again, I'd hearken back to the token female status, but I think now in our society we're really striving to be a lot more inclusive, and sometimes there are quotas to have females. Sometimes still people are rather surprised when a female does it, and we may get some additional acknowledgement that had a man been in that position, it would have just been expected. So, it can go both ways, but there are some inherent challenges, and I'm more focused on where we are now and where we can go.
Perfect.
I have 3 daughters, 3 granddaughters. We have girl power.
At least by majority, yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You do know we are a majority, although we're often, as the female gender, considered a minority. I don't know how that all got started.
If you reflect back on your career, were there specific steps that you took to help you achieve what you've been able to achieve? Books you read, classes you went to, mentors that you had?
Rick, yes, in my sales career, by the way, I should acknowledge, when I started in college, I was going to be a teacher because that was a great career for a woman in business. I could have a family and a career. Somewhere along the way, decided that maybe that wasn't exactly what I wanted to do, and I didn't have a clear-cut path. I wish I could say that, I knew exactly where I was going. The reality was I didn't know. Grew up in the East End, had to pay my way through college. It was kind of a struggle to get where I was going, wherever that might be. So I will say that when I was getting close to getting the degree and I had switched to marketing, I thought, I'm going to try sales. I'm tired of being poor. I hear there's big bucks in sales. I will do that until I figure out what I really want to do with my life. I think it was about 3 months into it, I felt that I had found my path and stayed in sales, found it very gratifying, very rewarding, and from there, built a career in sales. Running was my hobby. Soccer was a passion. I never realized that you could combine your personal passions with maybe a career. Another reason why I feel so very fortunate to have this job. Again, it was a path that few, I think, set out to do what I do. When I go to race directors conferences, male, female, everybody talks about how they kind of found this career from something else. And yet, I would say in talking to people who are looking at their future path and How do you become a leader? Stay open to possibilities. Try to find balance in your life. If you're fortunate enough to keep those personal passions and those personal desires, at least, you know, in your consciousness, you're aware enough of it. Who knows, maybe you'll be able to integrate that into your career and find what I consider to be a dream job.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to young aspiring leaders?
Mm-hmm. Well, and Rick and I were talking a bit about this. I wish there were something very profound, but I would say hard work, get yourself noticed, do a lot so that, again, we talked about being in the right place at the right time. There is something to be said for that, but I contend you have to do a lot of things, be open to possibilities, work hard, be flexible, try to stay open to learning. You really never know it all. That's kind of a great realization. It's also a very humbling realization, but just stay open to the possibilities. Take risks when necessary. If you're looking for a mantra to guide you, you know, I think if you do the right thing for the right reason, it's going to come back to you.
Are there certain values and principles that you hold high, kind of your gold standard, if you will, that said, these are things that I never break?
Wow. Not something that I personally think about a lot, but keep your word. If you say you're going to do something, you need to, within your power, do it. So I think keeping your word, making people know that they can count on you. I think, again, professionally, personally, we have a lot of people working for us. We have a lot of people who make so many things happen, so much possible. The one thing I say to them is that you do what you need to do, and if something goes wrong, I'm not going to throw you under the bus. I get a great deal of credit for things that I don't personally do. Mm-hmm. So if there is a flaw, if there's blame to be had, I'll take that. So I hope that everyone from, you know, our operations side to our volunteers know that if they do a good job, and things do happen and things go wrong, that they can count on me to be there to, you know, as I said, take the blame if necessary, because again, the credit is often there for those of us who are in the limelight, but we're not really doing the day-to-day tasks that make it a great success.
How have you found and groomed new team members?
Well, we have, again, so many volunteers. We rely heavily upon our interns. The rest of our staff is very young, and they dispel the myth of that generation not understanding hard work. I get to work with a very young, vibrant group, many of them whom we found through our internship programs. We work with Xavier, UC, NKU, in the College of Mount St. Joe. We get probably 10 to 12 interns for each quarter, or
wow.
each semester,
Okay.
I should say. Now
yeah.
we've moved to semesters. And we have found such talent with them. It's a good opportunity to, again, observe who works hard, the confidence they exhibit, the desire. One of our most effective, and I just did a relay with him this weekend. We were promoting the pig. One of our most quiet, shy, introverted interns, I think, is blossoming to be someone you can count on him. He works hard, and I think we're helping to build the confidence that he'll need to take his next step. But our internship program, and I would say to young people, you know, by all means, seek those programs, take advantage of the companies who will allow you to either intern or co-op.
There's a great book, in case you haven't read it. It's called Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Won't Stop Talking, by Susan Cain. And it really does point out that introverts have a secret power that a lot of people don't know about. I'm an introvert, believe it or not.
Well, I've always been told, and something that I try to do, is surround yourself with people who are good at things you're not good at, who do things that you don't do. So I need some quiet types around.
Thank you so much.
We're here with Iris Simpson-Bush on Tips from the Top. Iris, if you think back on your role as a leader, maybe just with the Flying Pig Marathon. Has the role changed, evolved at all based on what you were doing initially and now what you're doing currently?
Yes, indeed, it has evolved. And for me, again, we have now 5 people. For years, there were 2 of us. So, you know, I wore many hats. I did all of our sales and marketing. Just last year, we hired someone, added someone to the staff to begin to do that. So in the early days, the 2 of us pretty much did it all until race weekend, when we, as we mentioned earlier, brought on seasonal help and volunteers. So my role has definitely changed. I find that oftentimes now, my oversight, you kind of get a broader view of what everyone else is doing, because there is so much more happening. The first year we had a full marathon, the 4-person relay, and the piglet for children. Now we have a half, a 4-person relay, 10K, 5K. In fact, other race directors ask me, how do you make all of that work? And we just do. Nobody ever told us we couldn't, so we just do. So again, as you do more, as your events grow, I find that I'm a little more removed, not as hands-on as I may have been in the beginning, but you know, it's still very important to know what everyone else is doing. So certainly that part of the role has evolved. I get to talk more.
Part of leadership, I think, is planning for the future and creating a vision. Can you tell us a little bit about your vision for the future?
Yes. Running has experienced, just in my lifetime, 2 really big booms we're in the midst of, and it still seems to be growing. You can look around greater Cincinnati and in our hometown see the number of people who are out running. So the growth is there, the market is there to be had, but it is a multi-billion-dollar industry now. There is a marathon or a run, even in our own town, a run every weekend. I would say from March through November, there's a run to sign up for every weekend right in our marketplace. Every major city around us has a marathon, a half marathon. The competition is intense. So in order to grow, in order to sustain ourselves, some of the things we have done, I mentioned adding more events for race weekend. We literally have a diaper dash on Saturday morning, and we have now an incremental program a lot of people don't know about. We have over 6,000 youth who run the 25 miles the months leading up to the event. We give them a hog log. They log their nutrition. We do it in collaboration with the public library, so they read, they actually monitor themselves and come and join us race weekend, do their 26-mile and finish under the same banner the marathoners are going to use on Sunday. That program, again, one could say, well, we're recruiting runners for the future, but I do think it's a way to help our children understand the importance and enjoy exercise and moving. So that, of course, continues our growth, but you're giving me the opportunity to mention an upcoming event that we're very excited about. October 11th, we'll be introducing the Queen Bee. It's a female-themed half marathon. For whatever reason, women love that distance. Most half marathons have over 70% females participating. They're cropping up in cities all over. So we felt that we would take the model of the pig. So the Queen Bee is a not-for-profit. It's raising money for several, I think, very good female causes, and we believe will grow and be another economic win for our city. So we're growing in that respect as well. We have an initiative called Team Wellness. In addition to getting people to move, and again, they can walk or run our events. All the events are walker friendly. But in addition to that, we go to several of our corporate partners, our sponsors. We do team wellness at their companies, maybe a lunch and learn. We give them a menu of topics. We'll talk about the importance of exercise. It doesn't have to be just running or walking. We bring experts who talk about nutrition, everything, injury prevention, the importance of sleep, proper sleep, that kind of thing. So what we're trying to do is create a year-round initiative that will help to make our community healthier. It, of course, I guess one could say, is kind of a formula for success and keeping us vibrant and relevant in the community. But there's a lot more to this pig than meets the eye.
Absolutely. Certainly is. Iris, if you could roll the calendar back 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, is there one thing that you wish you would have known then?
Oh wow, that's a deep question. Probably, looking back, I think sometimes when the plan, life, the career isn't going according to plan. I made a huge career change, not because it wasn't going according to plan from my vantage point, but my company decided to go in a different direction. So I would say, if I could turn the calendar back, I would have been a lot less anxious had I known to have the faith that, again, if you keep doing the right things, keep moving forward, I hope that doesn't sound trite, but just believe that if you're doing the right things, good things are going to come back to you. I went through, a lot of angst and concern about changing careers that I couldn't imagine. I knew I could find another job. I was very confident that I would get and I got job offers. But my fear was it wouldn't be something I loved as much. I didn't want to have to go back to working just a job. And I had a lot of those during college. So if I could have known that good things still await. So I try to, again, I don't mean it to sound Pollyanna-ish, is that a word? But yeah, if I could turn back the clock and have known this is just the first step on this great new adventure that's going to be equally, perhaps even more rewarding.
So maybe to summarize, have faith and keep moving forward.
Absolutely, yeah.
Iris, I have to ask, because I didn't grow up in Cincinnati, where did the name Flying Pig come from?
In the 1800s, Cincinnati was known as Porkopolis. Our meatpacking industries were so prolific. They would literally, surrounding farmers would bring their pigs, their hogs to market down on the riverfront, get them off the boats and run them through the streets to the stockyards. That's how we got the name Porkopolis. Back in '97, Bob Coughlin, he's the CEO, the owner of Paycor. Bob had this vision to bring a marathon to Cincinnati. He'd been running with Team in Training, raising money for their organization, running marathons in cities all over the country. And he said, well, Cincinnati needs their own marathon. So it was Bob's vision that really began the marathon. The folklore for the Flying Pig is, and I wasn't at this table, but a smaller group of some of his employees and friends were sitting at a bar one night trying to come up with an appropriate name. He was sure he was going to do this event, so what shall we call it? And they were throwing out, the Cincinnati Marathon, a number of things, and writing the names down on bar napkins. Somebody said, well, Cincinnati is known for its pig heritage. Let's call it the Flying Pig. And everybody's laughing hysterically, and then it was like, well, wait a minute. It was a risk, because, doing a marathon is a serious undertaking. And we knew we wanted people to come from elsewhere. Cincinnatians might get that pig connection, but will others? So they decided, and I early on was told it was going to be called the Flying Pig, and it was like, really? Well, that's cute, but will people take us seriously? That was one of my concerns. Well, as it turned out, we came on the scene at a very good time. We were one of the first thematic marathons in the country. There are several of them now. But we put on a very serious event with more support, as much support, and I would say in these days more support than they get anywhere. And we have fun doing it. So the risk of calling it the Flying Pig to tie into Cincinnati's heritage turned out to be one of the best Runner's World even said we were one of the best named marathons in the country. So again, another example of sometimes if it feels right, just do it.
I thought it had something to do about when pigs fly.
Well,
Like, I'll run that race when pigs fly.
Veronica, interesting you should say, because yeah, that was part of it. They have to do the training, but if they believe they can do it, we'll help make it happen. one of our best-selling pieces of apparel does say, "I'll run a marathon when pigs fly." I think the spouses or the significant others buy that.
Thank you.
Iris, comment for us, if you would, on the role that leaders have in passing the baton through mentorship.
That's very timely for me. You know, we've kind of referenced, I've been around for a while and involved with the pig since its early beginnings in '97. I was the sales manager at Channel 9 and read that somebody was trying to bring a marathon. I'd run a few. I was so excited personally, and I thought the station should get involved. So I placed the call, was asked to be on the board, and you know, the rest is kind of my personal history. I'm reaching that point in time where there is benefit in having been involved so long. I can bring things in terms of the archives and the memory and the experience. You know what certain things, what one action will get. But I do have to look at who, is it time to pass that baton? I kind of kid and say, I hope I'll know before everyone else does. But to that end, I mentioned a young and very engaged staff. We are currently, the board of directors and I, working on a plan. I won't say it's necessarily a 3-year, 5-year plan. Some of that's in the good Lord's hands, but I would say that it's very important, and I love this event. I love the opportunity I've been given, so I of course want to share it with hopefully the right person. I think we're in a very good situation in that even within our own ranks, we could have some people who could quite easily take that baton and take the pig to where it needs to go, keep it flying. It's extremely important and something that we're actively looking at this point in our history and development.
Iris, we don't have much time left. Can you tell us, what is your ask? What do you need? What do you need help with? If you had one thing to get from this opportunity, what would it be?
Well, I have to say that the volunteers come in droves. Most things work very well for us. As a not-for-profit, we're trying to raise money. We raise money for other charities. That's our goal, that's our role. So in our corporate community, that's what I'm usually asking for. The city has been great about their support. We get, I think, pretty much what we need. The more our corporate sponsors back us, the more we can do for our charities. So that's the ask, that's the need. And I guess the desire is that everyone in the greater Cincinnati area can be proud of their hometown marathon, whether they're running or not. It's still your marathon.
Thank you. Very nicely done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
It was a pleasure. Thanks.
You've been watching Tips from the Top with the Cincinnati Flying Pig Marathon's Executive Director, Iris Simpson Bush. I'm Rick Barron.
And I'm Veronica Sanford.
Thank you very much for joining us today. Hope you'll join us again for our next episode.